Christmas Eve 10 years ago, my stepmother dragged me behind the tree and slapped me. A 22-year-old adult. My father just sighed. She's had a hard year. This week, I opened his old footlocker and found a coffee receipt marked, "Come back when you're ready to start over." I thought I'd find keepsakes. Instead, I opened a door to the truth, and the man who built his career on my father's death. My name is Rowan, and I am breaking a promise. The hinges of the footlocker scream, a high, thin metal tearing sound that cuts through the sterile quiet of the storage unit. The air is cold, dead, smelling of concrete dust and mouse poison. I pull the heavy green lid back, the cheap overhead fluorescent light catching the dull brass plaque. CDR Graham Whitcomb. My father. I am here to liquidate. That was the word Marla used in her email. Liquidate. As if his life was just bad stock to be cleared off the books. She wanted the locker gone by the 1st of the month. I told her I'd handle it, just to keep her away from it. Now I am here, in this 10 by 10 box in Denver, surrounded by the ghosts of a man I used to know. The locker is the last thing. It smells of mothballs, old canvas, and something metallic and sharp, like oxidized brass, a smell that is uniquely his. I pull out folded blue uniforms, the wool scratching my fingers, a set of dress whites, yellowing slightly at the collar, a heavy peacoat. Each item lands in the donate pile with a soft, final thud. I work fast, mechanical. Do not think, just sort, keep, donate, trash, the rhythm of detachment. My fingers hit something small and stiff tucked inside the folds of a utility jacket. I pull it out. It is not a medal. It is not a commendation. It is a receipt, thin and faded. The thermal paper gone soft with age. The logo at the top is a stylized train. Third Rail Roasters. The date is almost invisible, but the total is clear. 2 coffees, below the total, written in my father's familiar, aggressive slant, the same handwriting that signed my high school permission slips, are 7 words. Come back when you're ready to start over. I freeze. Start what over? I turn the flimsy paper over in my hand. It is nothing. It is a coffee shop receipt. It means nothing, but my pulse kicks up, a dull hammer against my ribs. I look back into the locker, expecting to see more. Something, but there is just canvas, wool, and the smell of mothballs. The smell hits me first, sharp and sudden, not mothballs. Pine, that heavy, sappy scent of a Douglas fir slowly dying in an overheated living room. The memory is instant, brutal, and total. Stonebridge Heights, 10 years ago. The LED lights blink. Red, green, blue, red, green, blue. They are too bright, stinging my eyes. Reflecting off the glass of bourbon in my father's hand, I am 22 years old, home on college break, and I have just committed the cardinal sin. I asked Marla at the dinner table why her brother's construction firm kept getting no-bid contracts from the city council she advised. The scrape of her chair on the hardwood floor silenced the Bing Crosby song. Her hand clamped onto my arm, fingers digging in hard enough to bruise. "A word, please," she hissed, the smile plastered on her face not reaching her eyes. She did not wait for an answer. She dragged me, past the glittering table, past the uneaten plates of ham, past my father, who watched us go. His face impassive. She hauled me behind the massive Christmas tree, shoving me back into the drywall. The branches scratched my face. The scent of pine was suffocating, thick in my mouth. "You ungrateful little bitch," she whispered, her voice tight with rage. The blinking lights cast monstrous shadows on her face. Red, green, blue. "Marla, I just asked a—" The first slap was open-handed, explosive. My head snapped back, hitting the wall. The world went white with a sound like a firecracker. My ear rang. "You do not, slap. Embarrass, slap. Me, slap. In my own house." She hit me 4 times, fast, methodical, before I could even raise my hands. I was 22 years old. I was 6 inches taller than her, and I just stood there, paralyzed. the smell of pine and her expensive, acidic perfume filling my lungs. She stepped back, adjusting the cuff of her silk blouse. Her face was perfectly composed. "We will return to the table, and you will apologize for your disruptive questions." I remember walking back out, my cheek burning, the imprint of her fingers feeling like a brand. The blinking lights seemed to pulse with the ringing in my ears. I looked at my father, Commander Graham Whitcomb, a man who commanded warships, a man who faced down storms in the North Atlantic. He would not meet my eyes. He swirled the bourbon in his glass. The ice cubes clicked. "Dad?" My voice was hollow. He sighed, a long, weary sound that seemed to drain all the oxygen from the room. He looked at Marla, then at me. "Rowan," he said, his voice quiet, final. "She's had a hard year." He lifted his glass. "Now, let's finish dinner. The roast is getting cold." That was it. No defense, no anger, just an excuse, an execution of my loyalty. The crack was not just in my trust, it was seismic. The foundation of who I thought he was, who we were, crumbled into dust. He was not a commander. He was a coward. He had chosen her, chosen the silence, chosen the path of least resistance over his own daughter. I did not apologize. I did not eat the roast. I went upstairs, packed a bag, and took the first bus back to my campus dorm. I did not come back for the spring semester. 2 weeks later, I was at Paris Island. I joined the Marine Corps, not the Navy, like him, never the Navy. I joined the Marines because I needed to be someplace where weakness was not excused. I needed to be someplace where "she's had a hard year" was not a defense for an assault. I ran toward the yelling and the structure because the silence in that house was unbearable. I traded the scent of pine and perfume for gunpowder and sweat. It was an easy trade. Now it has been 2 years since my honorable discharge, 2 years of trying to figure out where the edges of myself are. I am Rowan Whitcomb, former Marine Sergeant, current part-time intake coordinator at the Denver Vet Center. I sit under fluorescent lights that hum at a frequency just high-pitched enough to set my teeth on edge. I listen to men and women, younger and older than me, describe their own ghosts. I fill out paperwork. I connect them to resources. I am useful. But I am adrift. The civilian world is chaos. It is too loud. The traffic, the overlapping conversations in the grocery store, the nonstop chatter of the news. It is a different kind of noise than combat. In the field, the noise meant something, a mortar, a shouted command, the crack of a round. It was information. Out here, the noise is just noise. It is static. It is meaningless. It is a constant, low-grade assault, and I have no armor left for it. My father died while I was deployed. A heart attack, clean and simple according to Marla. I came home for the funeral, stood in my dress blues, and felt nothing but the vast, empty quiet he had left behind. I look at the receipt in my hand. Start over. My fingers dig back into the locker, searching for, I do not know what. My hand brushes against a small, cold object in the bottom liner, the Zippo. I pull it out. It is heavy, brushed chrome, cold to the touch. The front is engraved with his initials, G. Bu. I flick the cap open. It still has fluid. A strong, steady flame appears. I close it with that solid, definitive clack. The receipt was tucked right beside it. I examine the lighter again, running my thumb over the engraving. My nail catches on something. At the bottom, on the flat base plate where the manufacturing stamp is, there is a tiny, almost invisible slot. It looks like it was cut with a jeweler's tool. It is not standard issue. I look from the Zippo to the receipt. Third Rail Roasters. This is stupid. I am chasing ghosts. I am a 32-year-old woman sitting on the floor of a storage unit, obsessing over a 10-year-old piece of trash. He is dead. He made his choice behind that Christmas tree. He chose silence. But the words, "Come back when you're ready to start over." It feels like a direct order, like a transmission I am just now decoding. I stand up, dusting off my jeans. The donate pile is huge. The keep pile contains only the Zippo and the receipt. I grab my jacket. I slam the storage unit door, the sound echoing flatly. I am chasing ghosts. Fine, at least it is a mission. The bell above the door jingles, a bright, cheerful sound that feels wrong. Third Rail Roasters. It is 20 minutes from the storage unit, tucked into an older neighborhood with brick storefronts. The air inside is thick and warm. It is a physical shock after the cold outside. The smell is overwhelming. Not just coffee, waffles, cinnamon, melted butter, and cardamom. It smells like a caricature of comfort, and it sets me on edge. The place is quiet. A few patrons hunched over laptops, the hiss of an espresso machine. Behind the counter, a woman is wiping down the chrome. She looks up as the bell rings. She is older, maybe late 60s, with short gray hair and the kind of sharp, assessing eyes that miss nothing. Her name tag says Joe. She does not smile. She does not say, "What can I get you?" She just looks at me. Her eyes scan my face, my posture, the way I hold myself. It is a look I recognize. It is the look of someone who has been waiting. I walk to the counter, the floorboards creaking. I feel foolish. I place the faded receipt on the dark wood. "I found this," I say. My voice sounds rough. "In my father's things." Joe Ellis looks down at the receipt. Then she looks back up at me. Her expression softens, just a fraction. "Graham's girl," she says. It is not a question. I just nod. The smell of cinnamon is making me dizzy. She dries her hands on her apron, a deliberate, slow movement. "He told me to hold this for you," Joe says, her voice low. "He said you would probably be angry when you got it, but he said to give it to you when the time was right, when you came looking." "Looking for what?" "To start over," she says, echoing the note. She turns and ducks under the counter. I hear a latch click. She straightens up, holding a small, old wooden box. It looks like a humidor. Dark polished wood. Plain, no markings. She slides it across the counter. It stops perfectly in front of me. "He said to tell you," Joe says, leaning in slightly, "that he was sorry about the tree." My breath catches. The tree, the blinking lights, red, green, blue. He said he was sorry he chose the silence. I stare at the box. My hands are shaking. "What is this?" "This," Joe says, tapping the lid, "is the part that comes after. This is the truth." My hand rests on the dark wood of the box. It is heavier than it looks. The brass clasp is simple, unadorned. I lift it, and the lid opens with a faint sigh of cedar. Inside, on a bed of faded black velvet, lies a single sheet of paper. It is not navy letterhead. It is a piece of plain notebook paper, torn neatly from a spiral. The ink is a deep, permanent blue, the handwriting unmistakably his, the same aggressive slant that signed my terrible report cards. Starting over means telling the truth. That is it. 7 words, not an apology, not an explanation, an assignment. My eyes lift from the note and meet Joe's. The hiss of the espresso machine behind her seems to fade, the smell of cinnamon and waffles dissolving. There is only the quiet space between us. "The truth about what?" My voice is barely a whisper. Joe leans a hip against the counter, her arms crossed. Her gaze moves past me, toward the front of the shop. She nods at a small, empty booth by the window, the one catching the weak afternoon sun. "He used to sit right there," she says, her voice low and even. "Almost every morning for the last 6 months of his life, he would order 2 black coffees. He would drink one, and the other would just sit there, getting cold." She looks back at me, her eyes holding mine. He was a man carrying a heavy load. Rowan. He did not talk much at first. He just sat, staring out that window. But you know how it is? A good barista is part priest. Little by little, he started to talk. She pauses, as if weighing her next words. "He said he was tired of letting the silence speak for him. He said silence was a kind of lie, and he had been telling it for too long. He talked about his ship. He talked about the service. And he talked about you. A sharp, familiar pang of bitterness. I doubt that. He did, she insists, her voice firm, cutting through my skepticism. He was proud of you, the Marines. He said you had the steel he had misplaced. He said you knew how to stand your ground. He was counting on that. I looked down at the note. He was the one who stood down. He watched her hit me and did nothing. I know, Joe says, and the simple affirmation is shocking. He told me about the tree. He told me it was the moment he realized the silence had finally cost him everything that mattered. He came here to figure out how to buy it back. She ducks below the counter again. This time, she brings up a small, gray metal box. It is not elegant like the humidor. It is functional, ugly, like something you would keep petty cash in. It has a small, circular keyhole. She places it on the counter with a dull, solid sound. He brought this in about a week before his heart attack, Joe says. He told me the wooden box was the introduction. This is the evidence. He said he was afraid someone might liquidate his life before he could get it to you. He was right about that, wasn't he? The word liquidate hits me like a slap. Marla's word. I touch the cold metal. And the key? He said the key would be with the right person. Joe says simply, he said you would have it, even if you did not know it yet. The right person. Me. My hand is already in my pocket, my fingers wrapped around the familiar, worn shape of the Zippo. I pull it out and set it on the counter. G. The brushed chrome feels cold. Joe just watches me. She does not prompt. She does not help. I turn the lighter over, examining the base, that tiny, hair-thin slot I had noticed in the storage unit. It was not damage. It was a door. My fingernail is too thick. I look at Joe. She slides a metal coffee stirrer toward me. I push the thin metal end into the slot. I feel a tiny spring mechanism engage. I press, and a tiny panel, no bigger than a stamp, pops open on a hinge. It is a false bottom, expertly crafted. And inside, nestled in a small piece of dark foam, is a key. It is impossibly small, flat and black. It looks more like a component from a watch than a key. It is an object of profound and careful secrecy. My pulse, which had been hammering, suddenly steadies. The static of the world, the traffic outside, the hum of the cooler, the clatter of cups, it all goes quiet. This is the silence I know. This is focus. This is the moments before the signal. I retrieve the tiny key. I slide it into the lock on the gray box. The mechanism is smooth, well-oiled. It turns with a quiet, definitive click. I lift the lid. There are no sentimental objects, no medals, no ribbons. This is not a box of memories. It is a file, a case built by a man who knew he was out of time. On top is a sheaf of papers, thick, held by a binder clip. I lift the top page. My blood runs cold. It is a photocopy of a Department of the Navy cover sheet. Official investigation, USS Alder Ridge. Incident date, 14 October, 2009. The Alder Ridge, his final command, the ship that broke him, the incident that led to his early retirement for health reasons, the failure that Marla had always referenced in hushed, disappointed tones. I flip to the next page, and the next. It is a nightmare of bureaucracy, a solid wall of black ink. The report is almost entirely redacted. Entire pages are just black rectangles, with only Article 1 or Section 3 visible at the top. The official story was a brick wall. This was my father showing me the wall. I dig deeper. Beneath the redacted report is a photograph, a glossy 5x7. My father is on the deck of a warship, the sea a violent blue behind him. He looks younger, stronger. He is in his khakis, smiling. His arm is slung casually over the shoulders of a younger officer. This man is sharp, handsome, radiating the easy, lethal confidence of a man who knows he is going places. I flip the photo over, my father's handwriting, tight and precise. Alder Ridge, 2009, with Elias Crow, XO. Elias Crow, his executive officer, his number 2. I look at the name. I look at the confident smile. I flip back to the redacted report, scanning the pages with a new, desperate focus. I am looking for that name. And I find it. On page 12, the black redaction marker must have slipped, or the copier caught an angle the censor missed. A single line of text is visible, wedged between two massive blocks of ink. It is a fragment from a timeline log. It reads, "Safety drill deferred per operational schedule. CDR Whitcomb objection noted. Approved. XOE Crow." My breath stops. CDR Whitcomb objection noted. He objected. Approved. XOE Crow. Crow signed off on it. I search the box again, my fingers frantic. At the very bottom, beneath the photo, is one last piece of paper. A folded sheet from a yellow legal pad. The handwriting is different. It is his, but it is shaky. This is the last thing he wrote. "Rowan," it begins. "If you are reading this, it means the sea kept the secret too long, and it means I failed to fix it before I left. I tried to do it the right way. I filed the reports. I went through channels, but the channels are clogged. They protect their own. I let them. I let Marla convince me that silence was the same as protecting the family, that loyalty meant taking the hit. It is not. Silence is just betrayal with a better excuse. I objected to the drill postponement. Crow pushed it through. He wanted us in Lisbon on time for a reception. He was charming the brass. He wanted to look good. When the storm hit, my men were not ready. The procedures we were supposed to drill were the exact ones we needed. The casualty was not an accident. It was a choice. I was the commander. It was my ship. The failure is mine. But the decision was his. He signed the paper. I let them bury my honor to protect his career. Do not let the silence win. Do not let him win. Elias Crow. The name clicks into place with the force of a rifle bolt locking. Elias Crow, the hero of the Alder Ridge. I remember the narrative now. It played out in the Navy Times, even in the mainstream press. A tragic incident at sea, a freak storm. Commander Graham Whitcomb, my father, was quietly and honorably retired, taking the fall for systemic failures. But Elias Crow, the brave XO, was publicly lauded for his heroic leadership during the crisis. A cold, clean rage replaces the grief. This is not the hot, humiliating anger of the slap. This is a killing anger. I pull out my phone. My fingers are steady as I type the name. Elias Crow. He is not in the Navy anymore. He leveraged his heroism into a second, much more lucrative career. He is a senior executive, a board member at North River Dynamics, one of the largest defense contractors in the world. He gives keynote speeches. He consults on accountability and leadership in high-stress environments. He is a polished, celebrated fraud who built his entire life on the wreckage of my father's. He signed the paper, I say, the words thick in my throat. And my father took the fall. Yes, Jo says. She has already poured a fresh mug of coffee. She pushes it toward me. My hand, I realize, is clenched so tight my knuckles are white. He died trying to build the weapon you would need, Jo says softly. He died trying to give you the truth. This is not a weapon, I say, gesturing to the box. This is a pile of redacted paper and a photograph. It is his word against a corporate icon. Then you need more, Jo says, as if it is the simplest thing in the world. I am going to destroy him, I say. The quiet certainty of the words chills me. I am going to take this hero, and I am going to end him. Jo holds my gaze. There is no judgment in her eyes, only a deep, profound weariness. Your father wanted the truth told, she says. He did not want a head on a pike. He wanted his honor back. He is not here, I snap. I know, she says, nodding slowly. Just be careful. Rowan, you are holding his mission, but you are fueled by your anger. Make sure you know which one is steering. Your father wanted you to tell the right truth. Do not get so lost in the hunt that you just become another predator. Her words land. She is right. The rage is a white fog. I need to cool it. I need to make it tactical. In the Corps, we called it controlled aggression. Anger is fuel. It is not the mission objective. I put the note, the photo, and the redacted report back into the gray box. I lock it with the tiny key. I put the key back in the Zippo and snap the false bottom shut. I slide both boxes into my backpack. The weight is real. The report, I say, my voice changing, dropping into the familiar cadence of planning. It mentions the incident, the casualty, the men who were on that deck, the ones who were not ready because Crow wanted to drink cocktails in Lisbon. His signature means nothing if I cannot prove the drill would have mattered. They are out there, Joe says. The names are redacted. The crew roster is blacked out. But they are not gone, Joe says. Sailors talk. Graham used to meet with some of them, old-timers. They have breakfast clubs. They stick together. The ones who were there, they know. They never forgot. Of course, the network, the community, the men who were silenced right along with my father. My anger does not disappear. It hardens. It transforms from a hot fog into a cold, sharp object, a tool. This is not a hunt. This is an investigation. This is an operation. I shoulder my pack. Joe, I say, thank you for the coffee, for this. I did not do anything, Rowan, she says, already picking up my empty mug, wiping the counter where the boxes had been. I just kept a promise. You are the one who has to finish it. I nod. I turn and walk to the door. The bell jingles, and I step out into the cold Denver air. The street noise hits me. The cars, the distant sirens. But it is not static anymore. It is just background. I have a new objective. Find the crew of the USS Alder Ridge. Find the witnesses. Find the men who are still living with the truth. The basement of the Capitol Ridge Church smells like burnt coffee, industrial disinfectant, and decades of regret. It is 0700 on a Tuesday. The linoleum floor sticky under my boots. This is the weekly veterans' breakfast. A sea of gray hair and retired Navy caps. I am an outlier. Too young, too female, and the wrong uniform. A Marine walking into a room of old salts. But Joe said the Alder Ridge crew sometimes showed here. I scan the room. I'm not looking for a name. I'm looking for a type. Someone who sat in an engine room, not a stateroom. Someone whose hands look like they've fought with metal for a living. I spot him in the back corner, alone at a Formica table. He is nursing a styrofoam cup of the battery acid they call coffee. His hands are massive, the knuckles swollen, the skin permanently stained with grease, the nails thick and yellowed. They are the hands of a man who fixes things that are broken. His jacket says, Chief Petty Officer, retired. I walk over. No nonsense, no small talk. I am not here to reminisce. I am here for reconnaissance. He looks up as my shadow falls across his table. His eyes are a pale, washed-out blue, but they are sharp. They take in my posture, the set of my jaw, the way I stand at a modified parade rest. "Can I help you, Sergeant?" he grunts, noting the faded Marine Corps emblem on my jacket. "Are you Walter Pike?" His eyes narrow. "Depends on who's asking." "My name is Rowan Whitcomb." The change is instant. The suspicion evaporates, replaced by a deep, profound sadness. He slowly puts the cup down. The calloused skin of his hand scrapes against the styrofoam. "Graham's girl," he says. It is not a question. I nod. "I need to talk to you about the Alder Ridge." Pike looks around the noisy room, then back at me. "Not here." He jerks his head toward a steel fire door. "Come on." We are in a concrete stairwell that stinks of stale cigarettes and floor wax. The noise from the breakfast is a dull roar behind the closed door. Pike leans against the cinder block wall. He does not ask what I want. He knows. "I found his files, Chief, the real ones." Pike nods slowly, his eyes on the floor. He never let it go. I told him. I said, "Graham, let the sea keep it." But he couldn't. Not his nature. "He filed reports," I say, pressing. "Before the final trip?" 3, Pike says, his voice a low rumble. 3 separate maintenance warnings about the auxiliary turbine. He knew it was slow to spool. He knew if we lost primary power in a heavy sea, we wouldn't have backup steering fast enough. He filed all 3. I know. I signed off on the diagnostics. And Crow? Pike spits on the concrete floor. It is a gesture of pure, unadulterated contempt. Crow, the XO, Mr. Politics, all teeth and polish. He had a schedule to keep. There was a reception in Lisbon. Some admiral's daughter was getting pinned. Crow wanted to be on the dock, smiling for the cameras. He needed us there on Thursday, no matter what. So he deferred the drill. He deferred the drill, Pike confirms, his voice hardening. The exact drill? The emergency steering transfer? Your father? Graham? He went to him. I saw them. In the passageway. Yelling. Graham told him it was reckless. Crow told him to manage his department and let the front office manage the schedule. Then he signed the deferment. Operational necessity, he called it. Pike scoffs. A cocktail party. The air in the stairwell feels thin. I lean against the cold metal railing. I remember the stories after the incident, the official narrative. A tragic, unavoidable accident, a rogue wave, a commander who was, perhaps, not up to the strain. Tell me about the storm, I say. Pike's gaze goes distant. He is not in a stairwell in Denver. He is on a steel deck, and the world is trying to kill him. It was bad, he says quietly. Worse than the forecasts. We took a wave over the port bow, knocked out the main turbine, total power loss. Just like Graham said, the ship was dead in the water, wallowing in the trough. The auxiliary unit, it wouldn't engage. The one we were supposed to drill, the one we were supposed to fix. My father, the report said he... The report lied. Pike cuts me off, his voice like gravel. The report said he was indisposed in his cabin, a coward. That's what they painted him as. Graham Whitcomb was never a coward. He pushes off the wall. Your father wasn't in his cabin. He was down in engineering with my team. When the main bulkhead started to buckle from the pressure, he was there, with us, turning the dogs himself. He was shoulder to shoulder with me and 3 young sailors. He kept the sea out. He stayed below, fighting the water, while that bastard Crow was on the bridge, screaming into a dead radio. Your father saved 3 men that night, saved the whole damn ship. I am alive because Graham Whitcomb was where he was supposed to be. I close my eyes. The image is so clear it hurts. My father, the man who sighed and let Marla strike me, the man who chose silence at the dinner table, that same man, in the belly of a dying ship, choosing action, choosing his men. And after, I say, opening my eyes, the investigation. That's when the real storm hit, Pike says, his face twisting. We got towed to port. The brass flew in, and suddenly, the paperwork was gone. The deferment, the one Crow signed, vanished, wiped from the logs. Your father's 3 maintenance reports, never received, lost in the system. You testified. I told them. I told the whole panel of gold-braided admirals. I told them about the reports. I told them about Crow's signature. I told them Graham was in the engine room with me. And? Pike gives a bitter laugh. And 2 weeks later, I was processed out. Medical retirement, a compounding back injury. I've been hauling 50-pound toolkits for 30 years. Suddenly, my back was too compromised for sea duty. They buried me, just like they buried your father's career. Only they gave him a quiet retirement. They branded me a cripple and a liar. The silence in the stairwell stretches, thick and heavy. He is breathing hard, the old anger fresh. I look him in the eye, Marine to sailor, survivor to survivor. Chief, would you say it again? Everything you just told me, would you say it in public? On the record? He holds my gaze. He sees the Zippo in my hand, which I have been turning over and over. He sees the resolve. He sees Graham. Kid, he says, a new light in his pale eyes. You stand up. I'm standing right next to you. You give the word, and I'll be there. I am back in my apartment. It is no longer a civilian space. It is a tactical operations center. The gray metal box from Joe is on my kitchen table. Next to my laptop, the redacted report is laid out. I have a fresh legal pad. Mission: find the truth. Objective: hold Crow accountable. Phase 1: information gathering. I open my laptop. I am a veteran. I know how the government works. I know its language, and I know its weaknesses. I navigate to the Freedom of Information Act portal. I file a request. I am specific. I am precise. I ask for the full, unredacted investigative report on the USS Alder Ridge. Incident date: 14 October, 2009. I ask for all supporting documents, maintenance logs, and witness testimony. I click Submit. The screen refreshes. A case number appears. Your request has been received. Please allow 8 to 12 weeks for processing. 8 to 12 weeks. The institutional go away. They are counting on me to get tired, to get distracted, to let the silence win. I will not. While the government machine grinds, I work my own channels. I start digging into Elias Crow, North River Dynamics, his board memberships, his public speeches on leadership. I save every article, every video. 3 days later, an email appears. It is not in my primary inbox. It lands in my encrypted, secure account, the one I only gave to Pike. The sender is anonymous, a scrambled Proton address. The subject line is one word: Alder. My heart kicks. I open it. There is one attachment, a high-resolution scan. It is not a clean, typed report. It is a page from a ship's maintenance log. The paper is yellowed, stained with what looks like coffee and grease. It is a working document. It is real. And there, halfway down the page, is the entry. In the comments deferrals column, a handwritten note. Drill deferred by XO.E. Crow, CDR objection noted. It is Crow's signature. I recognize it from his corporate bio. It is my father's objection. Documented. This is the page that vanished. I open the second attachment. It is a simple text file. He wasn't wrong. Some of us still remember. Someone kept a copy. Someone other than Pike. Someone who knew the official record was a lie and held on to the truth. Waiting. I feel a cold, clean fire ignite in my chest. This is it. The first piece of verifiable physical proof. I get up from the table. I go to my closet and pull out a lockbox. I take out a digital audio recorder, 2 encrypted solid-state drives, and a set of fresh notebooks. I am not just a daughter seeking vengeance anymore. I am an investigator. I begin to log the evidence, the Zippo, the key, the boxes, the redacted report, the photograph, Pike's verbal testimony, which I will have him record, and now, this, the scanned logbook page. I back everything up. One drive stays here, locked. The other goes into my bag. A copy goes to a secure cloud server. This is my combat standard, my evidence chain. The government can take its 12 weeks. Marla can have her comfortable lies. Elias Crow can give his keynote speeches. I am building a case. I am establishing a clear line of fire, and I am just getting started. I dial the main line for North River Dynamics, the corporate headquarters, the belly of the beast. The hold music is a piece of soaring, offensive orchestral music, something composed to make you feel patriotic and small at the same time. A voice, polished like smooth, cold steel, answers. North River Dynamics, how may I direct your call? Elias Crow's office, please. May I ask who is calling? My name is Rowan Whitcomb. A fractional pause, not confusion, just a beat, the clicking of a keyboard, fast and sharp. And the nature of your call. Ms. Whitcomb? It is a personal matter regarding Commander Graham Whitcomb and the USS Alder Ridge. The steel voice does not just get colder, it vanishes. The manufactured politeness is gone, replaced by a flat, zero-effect tone. One moment, please. I am not put back on hold. The line clicks, and a new voice is there. This one male and clipped. This is the executive assistant to Mr. Crow. How can I assist you? I repeat myself, my name, my father's name, the ship. Mr. Crow is not available, the voice says instantly. He was waiting for the call. If you have inquiries regarding his distinguished naval service, you will need to direct them to the Department of the Navy's Public Affairs Office. This is not an inquiry, I say, my voice just as flat, just as cold. This is a notification. I have my father's records. I have the maintenance logs he filed. I have the deferment order that XO Crow signed. The silence on the other end is absolute. It is not the silence of shock. It is the silence of a computer processing a new threat variable. I can hear the man's controlled breathing. Ms. Whitcomb, he says, and the script is now locked and loaded. All further contact regarding this matter, or any matter pertaining to Mr. Crow, must be directed through his legal counsel. Please provide your contact information, and a representative from the firm of Harris, Beale, and Strauss will be in touch with you shortly. So he does remember my father's name. Do not contact this office again. The line clicks dead. I set the receiver down, my hand perfectly steady. This was not a confrontation. It was a probe. I sent a single round downrange to see if the target was armored. The answer is yes. They have a legal team on retainer specifically for this. Harris, Beale, and Strauss. He has been waiting for this. He has been waiting for me, or someone like me, for over a decade. He sees the danger. Good. He should. My personal cell phone rings. The vibration so violent on the tabletop, it sounds like an alarm. I look at the screen. A restricted number. I know who it is. I let it ring twice more, then answer. Rowan, you need to stop this. Marla. Her voice is not the smooth, conciliatory tone of a grieving widow. It is the sharp, panicked hiss I remember from behind the Christmas tree. Stop what, Marla? You know exactly what you are doing. Calling his office. Calling Elias. You are digging up corpses. Rowan, for God's sake, let your father rest. I am trying to let him rest, Marla. His honor was stolen. I am getting it back. His honor? She scoffs. A brittle, ugly sound. He was a broken man. Rowan. He was depressed. He spent the last years of his life obsessing over this fantasy. He blamed everyone else for his own failures. And now you want to continue it? It is not a fantasy. I have the logbooks. I have testimony. You have nothing, she nearly shrieks. You have the ramblings of a sad man. And you are going to use them to destroy our family's reputation? To attack a good, respected man like Elias Crow, a friend of the family? You are selfish. You are thinking only of your own anger. The accusation hangs in the air. Selfish, angry. The memory flashes, unbidden, sharp as broken glass. My 22-year-old self, cheek burning. The scent of pine needles sharp in my nose. The red and green lights blinking on my humiliation. The sting was nothing. The pain was not the slap. The pain was my father, my commander, my dad, looking away and sighing. She's had a hard year. That was the wound. The slap was just the salt. He had chosen her comfort over my dignity. He had chosen silence over truth. He had failed me. And now, he was asking me to fix the one time he chose truth, and was failed by everyone else. The family reputation? I say, my voice dropping, the heat gone, replaced by ice. You are worried about the reputation? The one you upheld by assaulting your adult stepdaughter because she asked a question you did not like. The line goes dead silent. Marla is breathing, a thin whistling sound. That was a difficult time, she whispers. It was a hard year, I correct her. I remember. Do not call this number again. You can contact me through my father's lawyer, or, if you prefer, you can use Harris, Beale, and Strauss. I hear they are very efficient. I end the call. I do not throw the phone. I set it down. My hands are shaking, not with fear. With a rage so pure and so hot, it threatens to burn through my bones. I cannot stay here. I cannot be in this room. I am at Third Rail Roasters 10 minutes later, The smell of cinnamon and dark roast cuts through the fog in my head. Jo sees me walk in. She takes one look at my face, pours a black coffee into a ceramic mug, and slides it onto the counter. "They are shooting back," she says. "It is not a question." Crow lawyered up. Marla called to tell me to protect the family name. I wrap my hands around the hot mug. She's worried about the reputation. "And you are worried about the mission," Jo says. "Right now," I admit, the words tearing out of me. "I just want to burn them both to the ground. I want them to hurt. I want Marla to feel as small as she made me feel. I want Crow to lose everything he built on my father's career. I do not know if that is mission or just anger." Jo leans on the counter, her eyes kind but unyielding. "I told you, Rowan, do not confuse your anger with your mission." "How can I not?" I snap. "The anger is all I have. It is the only thing that feels real. He left me with this, Jo. He left me with his failure and my anger." "The anger is good," she says, her voice firm. "It is fuel. It is what got you in the door. It is what separates you from him, your father, Graham." He let the silence eat him. He let the anger turn inward until it stopped his heart. "You are built different. You are pointing your anger out. That is what Marines do. That is your strength." She pushes the mug closer. "But fuel is not the weapon. It is just the propellant. You still have to aim. You still have to control the detonation. You are angry at Marla for a slap 10 years ago. You are angry at Crow for a lie that broke your father. They are not the same target. Do not waste your ordnance." I breathe, in, out, the scent of coffee. She is right. She is a barista, and she is the best strategic advisor I have ever had. "I choose both," I say, my hands steadying on the mug. "The mission and the anger, but I will hold the reins. I will be precise." "That is the girl he was waiting for." Jo nods. I return to my apartment. The fire is banked. It is a controlled burn now. It is time to work. A new email is in my primary inbox. U.S. Government. Your FOIA request, X1138, has been processed. That was fast. 8 to 12 weeks, they said. It has been 9 days. That is a bad sign. That means they had the denial ready. I open the attached PDF. My screen fills with black, page after page after page, 150 pages of solid black ink. It is the entire Alder Ridge investigation. It is not redacted. It is entombed. It is a digital burial. They have blacked out everything: the names, the dates, the findings, the recommendations, everything. It is a solid wall of "go away." I scroll through it, my heart sinking, useless. I scroll back, faster, in frustration, and I see it. My eye catches it, a fractional error, a human mistake. On page 93, whoever did the redaction used a tool that blacked out the text layer, but they missed a piece of embedded metadata on an internal email that had been scanned into the file. The black box is just slightly misaligned, and in the digital margin, a single line of text has escaped. Timestamp 13OCT, 2009, 1530s04z. From E. Crow, XO, to Ops. D. Sub G. Drill schedule. The body of the email is gone, but the header is there. The timestamp, 13 October, 2009, 1530 Zulu time. The storm hit on the 14th of October. This is an email from Elias Crow about the drill schedule, sent less than 24 hours before the incident. I sit up straight, on its own. It proves nothing, but I am not working with it on its own. I open the scanned logbook page from my anonymous sender. I lay it side by side with the FOIA mistake. The handwritten logbook entry: drill deferred by XO, E, Crow, CDR objection noted. The date on that log entry, 13 October. The FOIA leak: an email from Crow about the drill schedule. The date on the email, 13 October. They match. The email is the digital order. The logbook is the physical execution. I have linked them. I have a chain. This is not a story anymore. This is a case. This is evidence. I am not a lawyer. I am not a reporter. I cannot fight a billion-dollar defense contractor and their white shoe law firm alone. I need a force multiplier. I spend the next 4 hours drafting a summary. Not an emotional plea, a tactical briefing. Exhibit A, the scanned maintenance log page. Exhibit B, the screenshot of the FOA timestamp error. Exhibit C, a transcript of Chief Walter Pike's testimony. Exhibit D, my father's final note. I encrypt the package. I compose a new email from my secure account. I send it to Front Range Watch. They are a local veterans advocacy group in Denver, a nonprofit. They are underfunded, overloaded, and run by a team of permanently furious ex-JAG officers and combat veterans. They specialize in one thing: holding the system accountable. They are absolute bulldogs. Subject: Evidence, U.S. Alder Ridge. Cover-up, CDR Graham Whitcomb. I hit send. The missile is in the air. I wait. 1 day passes. 2. The silence from Front Range Watch is deafening. Maybe they buried it. Maybe it was not enough. My laptop pings. A new message. My anonymous sender. The one who sent the log. The message is brief. A new vector of attack. He is speaking at the Civic Rotary Hall. Thursday, noon. Elias Crow. He is not a ghost in a Washington, D.C. high-rise. He is coming here, to Denver, to my city. I look at the calendar. Thursday, that is 2 days from now. This is not a legal fight. This is not an email campaign. This is a close-quarters engagement. I stand up and walk to my closet. I push past the jeans, past the polo shirts I wear to the vet center. In the very back, hanging pristine in a sealed garment bag, is my uniform. Marine Corps dress blues. He is giving a speech on leadership. Fine, I will be there. Let's talk about accountability. The Civic Rotary Hall is loud. The air is thick with the smell of hotel carpet, lukewarm coffee, and self-congratulation. Men in suits, their ties loosened, laugh too loudly. It is a sea of civic leaders and local business owners. They are here to be inspired, to network, to eat rubber chicken. I stand in the doorway for a full 10 seconds before anyone notices me. The uniform does its job. The Marine Corps dress blues are a signal. They are not a costume. They are a statement of intent. The high, stiff collar, the dark blue wool, the blood-red stripe down the trouser leg, the polished brass buttons. They are an armor of tradition, and today, I am using them as a weapon. A murmur starts near the back and ripples forward, moving faster than I do. The laughter falters. The clinking of glasses slows. The room does not go silent, but the ambient noise drops by half. At the front of the room, on a low dais, Elias Crow stops mid-handshake. He is exactly as his pictures portrayed him. Tall, silver-haired, radiating an expensive and effortless confidence. His suit is perfect. His smile is perfect. His eyes find me. And he freezes. It is not a dramatic stop. It is a microsecond, a fractional hitch in his breathing, a half-second pause before his hand finishes its glad-handing motion. His smile does not waver, but his eyes, for just that instant, are bare. He sees me. He sees the uniform, and he knows, absolutely, why I am here. The mask snaps back into place. He concludes the handshake and turns to his handler, whispering something. I begin to walk. My footsteps are silent on the thick carpet. I am not rushing. I am not storming the stage. I am advancing. Every eye in the room follows me. The air crackles. The stage lights, hot and white, catch the polished brim of my cover. Before I can reach the dais, a man steps into my path. He is younger than Crow, wearing a suit that costs more than my car. He has the sleek, unbothered look of a corporate lawyer. He smiles, a tight, professional baring of teeth. "Ma'am," he says, his voice low and placating, "we appreciate your service, but this is not the time or the place." I stop. 1 foot from him, I look past him, directly at Crow, who is now watching, pretending to be a concerned host, not the target. I look back at the lawyer. This is precisely the place. My voice is not loud, but it cuts through the remaining whispers. The room is now tomb silent. The only sound is the hum of the PA system, waiting for the keynote speech. This is a private luncheon, the lawyer tries again, losing his smile. This is a public forum on leadership, I counter, my voice level. I am here to discuss it. I step around him. He puts a hand out, as if to touch my arm. I look at his hand, then at his face. He retracts it, as if he has touched a hot stove. I am a woman in uniform. Putting hands on me here would be a very bad look. He knows it. I stop at the foot of the dais. I am looking up at Elias Crow. The lights are in my eyes, but I do not blink. He is looking down at me, his face a perfect mask of polite concern. Mr. Crow, I say. My voice is clear. I am not using a microphone, but every person in that room hears me. My name is Sergeant Rowan Whitcomb, United States Marine Corps. My father was Commander Graham Whitcomb. A collective, soft intake of breath from the tables nearest the front. I believe, I continue, that you have something that belongs to him, his honor. Crow's mask tightens. Sergeant, he says, his voice full of practiced sympathy. I had the utmost respect for your father. His loss was a tragedy for the entire service, but I assure you, whatever private grievance you have, it is not a grievance, sir. It is a point of fact. I reach inside my uniform jacket. I pull out a single, folded sheet of paper. It is the high-resolution scan of the logbook page, the one with his signature. I hold it out to him. He does not take it. The lawyer steps forward, snatches it, and hands it to him. Crow unfolds it. He looks at it. The audience is silent, watching. They cannot see the paper. They can only see his face. They see the polite mask begin to crack. He knows what he is holding. He knows his own signature. He knows the words, drill deferred by XOE, Crow, CDR objection noted. He starts. He clears his throat. The microphone on the lectern next to him is live, and it catches the small, wet sound. What is that? Someone calls from the crowd. It is the maintenance log from the USS Alder Ridge, I say, still looking at Crow. It is the drill deferment order you signed, the one that disappeared from the official investigation, the one my father objected to, 24 hours before the storm hit. A wave of hissing, sharp whispers sweeps the room. This is no longer a private matter. This is a public accusation. Crow looks up from the paper. His face is flushed. The practiced charm is gone, replaced by a dull, hot anger. Young lady, he says, his voice rising, you are operating with incomplete information. The pressures of operational command are immense. We were under a significant time constraint. Decisions had to be made. So you made one, I interrupt, my voice still calm, cutting through his bluster. You chose a cocktail reception in Lisbon over a safety drill. A man died, Mr. Crow. My father's career was destroyed, and you were called a hero. I am not here for slogans about operational pressure. I am here for accountability. That's enough, the lawyer shouts. No, it's not. A new voice, not mine. A man in the third row is standing up. He is old, wearing a faded Navy veteran cap. I do not know him. He is holding up his cell phone, the screen lit. On the screen is a photograph, a digital image, grainy, but unmistakable. It is my father, Graham Whitcomb, in his own khakis, smiling on the deck of a ship. This is the man she is talking about, the veteran calls out. I served with Graham. He was a good man. Let her speak. The room erupts, not in chaos, but in a rumble of agreement. Other phones are coming out. The local press, here for a puff piece on Crow, are suddenly scrambling, cameras flashing, recorders held high. Crow looks at the phone. He looks at my father's picture, and he breaks. He shoves the paper back at me, his hand shaking. The document flutters to the floor. You do not understand command, he hisses, his voice cracking, the microphone catching the raw desperation. You do not understand the choices. You were not there. You have no right. I do not pick up the paper. I let it lie between us. I look at this man, this celebrated hero, and I feel nothing but a cold, clear pity. He is a coward. He was a coward then, and he is a coward now. I understand accountability, I say. My voice is quiet, but the microphone picks it up and blasts it across the hall. The words hang in the sudden, dead silence. Accountability. I have said my piece. My mission here is complete. I have lit the fuse. I hold his gaze for one more second. Then, I execute a perfect, practiced facing movement. I turn my back on him. I walk away. The noise that explodes behind me is a tidal wave, shouting, questions, the flash of cameras. I hear the lawyer yelling, "No further comment." I hear Crow's panicked breathing over the PA. I do not look back. I walk down the center aisle, my back straight, my pace measured. The crowd parts for me. I see their faces, shocked, angry, curious. I push through the double doors and out into the sterile hotel lobby. The sound cuts off as the doors swing shut. I am met by a fresh wave of reporters, the ones who were too late to get inside. "Sergeant, what was that? Who was your father? What was on that paper?" I say nothing. I do not slow down. I walk through them, a blue and red statue, and out the revolving glass doors into the cold, bright Denver sunlight. I have forced their attention. Now, they will have to dig. I am halfway to my truck when my phone buzzes. A news alert, the local Denver political blog, the first to post. The headline is stark. Local Marine vet challenges Navy hero, Elias Crow at civic luncheon, accuses him of cover-up in father's death. It is faster than I expected. The story is out. The narrative is no longer his. My phone buzzes again. A notification. Facebook. It is a new post from Marla. It is not a direct message. It is a public post, for all her friends to see. It is a sad day when some people, buried in their own grief, cannot find it in their hearts to forgive and let the past rest. Some people would rather destroy a good man's name than heal. Some people. I stare at the words, the passive-aggressive knife twist, the attempt to paint me as the villain, as broken, the same old song. She's had a hard year. I close the app. I turn the phone's ringer off. She is noise. She is a distraction. The blog is a tool, but it is not the solution. I get into my truck and sit for a moment. The uniform is hot, the collar choking, but I am not done. I pull out my encrypted drive and plug it into my laptop. I open my secure file. It is a list. Names, phone numbers, addresses. Pike, Blake, Hernandez, Kimball. The men who were on the Alder Ridge. The men my father saved. The men who were silenced. The media can chase the story. I am going to build the case. I dial the first number. "Chief Pike," I say, when he answers. "It is Rowan Whitcomb. It has begun. I need you." The phone call from Front Range Watch comes at 0500. It is exactly the time I expected. They are my kind of people. "Sergeant Whitcomb," a gravelly voice says. No introduction. "This is Miller. We reviewed your package. It is solid. The logbook scan is good. The FOIA timestamp is a nice catch. Pike's testimony is credible, but it is not enough to move a mountain like North River Dynamics." "So what is next?" I ask, already dressed, coffee brewing. "A lawsuit takes years," Miller says. "Harris, Beale, and Strauss will bleed you dry with discovery and motions before you ever see a courtroom. Crow's reputation is built on sand, but he has got a fortress built around it. You cannot go through it. You have to make him come out." "How?" "We are sponsoring a community truth forum, nonprofit, educational, open press. We invite Elias Crow to come and clarify his distinguished service record in light of newly discovered historical documents. We invite you to present your father's legacy. He is the one giving speeches on leadership. Let's see him lead." It is a public challenge, a tribunal, but without a judge. The community as the jury. He will never show up, I say. He might, Miller counters. If he does not, he looks guilty. If he does, you have him, but you had better be ironclad. You cannot bring a knife to this fight. You need a cannon. I will be there, I say. Send me the details. One more thing, Sergeant. From here on out, this is a legal proceeding. Your emotions are out. Your tactics are in. You are a curator of facts, nothing more. Understood. I hang up. The mission has changed. This is no longer an investigation. It is trial preparation. I spend the morning establishing the rules of engagement for the forum. I email them to Miller. My terms are non-negotiable. 1. The entire event will be professionally recorded. Multi-camera. With audio fed directly from the microphones. 2. Each side, myself and Mr. Crow, will have exactly 30 minutes for a prepared statement, followed by a moderated 30-minute question and answer period from a panel of pre-vetted local journalists. 3. All documents, photographs, or recordings to be presented as evidence must be submitted to the Front Range Watch legal team 72 hours in advance for verification. No surprises, no ambushes. Let them see our facts. Let them try to refute them. I am running on 4 hours of sleep. My diet reduced to black coffee and protein bars. When I return from a pre-dawn run, I find it. It is a plain white business envelope. No stamp, no return address. It is leaning against my apartment door. My name. Rowan is written on the front in simple, black block capitals. My hand is steady as I pick it up. Inside, there is one sheet of paper and a small, yellow sticky note. The note has 2 words. Bring this. The paper, my God, it is not a scan. It is not a photocopy. It is the original. The maintenance logbook page. The paper is heavy, government stock, slightly yellowed at the edges. The ink from the signature, E. Crow, XO, is a deep, solid blue. The pressure of the pen clearly visible, indenting the paper. The line noting my father's objection is just above it, clear as day. This is the document that vanished. I take it to my kitchen table, my hands suddenly shaking. I put on gloves. I examine it under a magnifying lamp. This is the cannon Miller was talking about. I cross-reference it with the scan my anonymous source had sent. They are identical. But as I scan the footer, I see it. A single, tiny set of numbers I had missed on the blurry scan. A document control number. A 6-digit code. AUR Annex copy. Aurora Annex, not the main naval archives. A secondary location. A sub-basement. I spend the next 3 hours on the phone, digging through retired personnel lists. I find him, a former chief archivist, retired for 8 years, living in a small suburb south of the city. He agrees to meet me at a diner, his voice thin and nervous over the phone. He is a small man named Peterson, with glasses thick as shot glasses. He keeps stirring his untouched coffee. I should not be here, he whispers, not looking at me. I slide the original log page, now in a protective sleeve, across the table. You know what this is? He looks at it. He visibly pales. Where did you get this? It found me, I say. This R Annex copy stamp, that was you, was not it? Peterson nods, his fingers trembling. Graham. Commander Whitcomb. He was a friend. He came to me a week after they got back to port. Before the inquiry board convened, he looked terrible. He said, Pete, they are going to bury this. They are going to disappear the truth. He asked me what to do. And you made a copy? Not a copy, Peterson whispers, leaning in. A parallel record, back then. Before everything was digital, we had a fail-safe system for sensitive documents at the annex, a duplicate ledger. It was meant for fire or flood. I entered this page into that ledger. I logged it under a mislabeled file codex. I buried it. You logged it, I clarify, my heart hammering. So there is an official, contemporaneous record of this document existing before the investigation. Yes, he says. An officer, A friend of your father's. He was afraid the signature page would be lost, so I made sure it was not. I retired a month later. I never knew what happened. I just knew I had a piece of the truth hidden in the stacks. I need you to swear to that, I say. I need an affidavit. I need it notarized. I need you to testify, on the record, that this document is real and that it was filed by you before the Navy investigation concluded. He looks at the log page. He looks at me, at my eyes. He sees my father. They buried a good man, he says, his voice gaining a thin, reedy strength. It is time to dig him up. I have the notarized affidavit by 5 p.m., the original log page, authenticated by the man who filed it. This is no longer a daughter's quest. This is a public indictment. My next calls are to my witnesses, Pike, first, then the 3 sailors his testimony identified, Blake, Hernandez, and Kimball, the men who were in the engine room with my father, the men he saved. I find them one by one. Blake is a mechanic in Utah. Hernandez runs a food truck in San Antonio. Kimball is a high school teacher in Oregon. They are all in their 40s now. They are civilians. They have lives, families. I tell them what I have. I tell them about the forum. I do not command them. I do not plead. I invite. It is time to tell the story, I say to each of them. On the record, for him. By nightfall, all 4 have agreed. They are booking flights. Pike, Blake, Hernandez, and Kimball, my witnesses, my father's men. The counterattack is swifter than I expected. Not from Crow, from Marla. It is not a phone call. It is a letter, delivered by courier, from a high-priced local law firm I have never heard of. It is a cease and desist. The language is cold, brutal. It threatens immediate legal action. It accuses me of infliction of emotional distress, and, most absurdly, defamation of the dead. It claims I am tarnishing the memory and complicated legacy of my own father for personal gain. It demands I cancel the forum and issue a public apology to her and to Mr. Elias Crow. Burying the dead, she called it. I pick up my phone. I scan the notarized affidavit from Peterson. I scan the high-resolution original of the logbook page. I scan my father's final letter. I attach them to an email. I send it to Marla's lawyer. My message is simple. My father's legacy is not complicated. It was stolen. The attached documents are my formal response. I will not be ceasing, and I will not be desisting. I will see you at the forum. I hope Marla attends. She is part of the story. I hit send. That is how you answer a threat, not with a counter-threat, with a tactical detonation of the truth. The operation headquarters is 3rd Rail Roasters. Joe has cleared the entire back corner. She has set up a massive corkboard, like a general's map. She calls it the Wall of Truth. We have a timeline, running from 2009 to the present. We have the evidence pinned to it, copies of the logs, the FOIA timestamp, the affidavit, my father's note. We have headshots of Crow, Marla, and my 4 witnesses. Joe keeps a fresh pot of coffee on the warmer at all times. This is a logistics hub, Rowan, she says, her face grim but energized. An army runs on coffee. Your father's did. Anyway. It is the night before the deadline for evidence submission. The team is set. Miller has the full package. My witnesses fly in tomorrow. I am at 3rd Rail, nursing my 10th coffee, going over my prepared statement one last time. My secure phone buzzes. A text. My anonymous sender. It is not enough. He will say it is paper. He will say it is your word against his. I text back. What else is there? The reply is instant. There is an audio recording from the wardroom. The night after the incident, before the inquiry. Crow and the senior staff. I have it. My blood turns to ice. Where? I text. How? No reply. I wait. 1 minute. 5. 10. The silence is agonizing. I am about to leave, to head home, when Joe starts wiping down the counter for closing. Hey, Rowan, she calls out. Someone left a decent tip. She holds up the glass tip jar from the counter. I do not look up from my phone. Joe, No, really, she says, her voice strange. Look. I look up. She is holding the jar. And inside, nestled among the dollar bills and quarters, is a small, black USB thumb drive. I am at the counter in 2 strides. Joe carefully upends the jar, dumping the money and the drive onto a clean cloth. It was not there 10 minutes ago, she says, her eyes wide. A guy in a hoodie came in, ordered a black coffee to go, paid in cash, and left. He must have dropped it in. I pick up the drive. It is warm. My hands are shaking again, but this time, it is not with rage. It is with anticipation. The anonymous messenger, the audio. This is the last piece. This is the cannonball. I do not go home. I go to the vet center. It is the only place I have with the right software. A secure, air-gapped terminal I use for sensitive VA file transfers. I cannot risk plugging this drive into my networked laptop. I wait until the night shift leaves, until the only sound is the hum of the fluorescent lights and the ticking of the clock. I plug in the drive. I put on a pair of heavy, noise-canceling headphones. The drive contains 1 file, Wardroom Post, MP3, 18 minutes and 43 seconds. I press play. The sound is awful. It is a wall of ambient noise, a high-pitched, steady whine from a ventilation system, the deep, low thrum of a ship's engines at idle. Underneath that, the clatter of heavy ceramic mugs, muffled coughs, the scrape of a chair. It was recorded in secret, probably a small device left on a table. I filter the sound, cutting the high-frequency whine, boosting the mid-range vocals. The voices are low, tense. I recognize Pike's voice first, his deep rumble. It was a failure of command, plain and simple. Then another voice, smoother, more polished, cuts him off. Let's be precise. Chief, it was a failure of equipment, under extreme duress. That's the narrative. I freeze. My hand clenches the mouse. Elias Crow. I would know that voice anywhere. That smooth, practiced cadence. The voice from the Rotary Hall. I keep listening. Crow's voice dominates the conversation. He is not commanding. He is steering. He is managing the story, in real time, just hours after the incident. The timeline was the timeline, Crow says, his voice impatient. We were stuck to the reception schedule. I moved the drill. It was an acceptable operational risk. The storm was the variable, not the drill. The board will understand that. Another voice, younger. But Graham's reports. Commander Whitcomb's reports, Crow cuts in, his voice hardening, are being handled. They were logged, but not escalated. A systemic filing error. Tragic. The board will see the systemic failure, not one man's paperwork. He is admitting it. He is admitting all of it. He is calmly, coldly, constructing the lie that will bury my father and launch his own career. I need to be certain. I cannot just think it is him. I have to prove it. I open the audio file from the Rotary Hall speech, the one I downloaded from the news blog. I isolate a clip of Crow saying operational and schedule. I run a basic spectral analysis, placing the 2 waveforms side by side. The vocal fingerprint is identical. The specific frequency of his S sounds, the slight upward tilt at the end of his sentences, the precise cadence of his speech. It is him. This is the cannon. This is the warhead. I am about to stop the recording, to log it as evidence, when I let it play on. The main conversation seems to end. I hear chairs pushing back, men leaving. The recorder is still running. The ambient hum continues for almost a minute. Then, 2 voices, much closer to the microphone, quieter, more intimate. A man I do not recognize says, Elias, what about the daughter? The college girl. I heard she was asking questions at the funeral home, about the timeline, about the... Crow cuts him off with a low, dismissive laugh. She's a non-issue. She's emotional. I told Marla not to let her talk. The world stops. I rip the headphones from my head. The silence of the office is so complete, so total, that my ears ring. It feels like the floor has dropped out from under me. Marla. I told Marla not to let her talk. It cannot be. A different Marla. A coincidence. It has to be. My father met Marla after he retired. The story was simple. He was a grieving, broken commander, and she was a supportive widow who helped him piece his life back together. That was the narrative. That was the lie. My hands are moving before my brain catches up. I am on my networked computer now. The secure one. I am not searching for military records. I am searching the open internet. I type in her maiden name, Marla Jensen, and Elias Crow. Nothing. No connection. I try again. Marla Jensen, and North River Dynamics. My blood turns to ice. A web link, 15 years old, an archived press release from a local business journal. North River Dynamics is pleased to welcome new hires to its expanding legal department. And there she is, a small, grainy photo. Marla Jensen, paralegal, contracts division. She worked there. She worked at the company Elias Crow would one day sit on the board of. She worked there before she ever met my father. The pieces slam into place with such violent force I feel physically ill. This was not a romance. It was an assignment. Crow knew my father was broken, angry, and obsessing. He knew my father was a threat to his carefully crafted hero narrative. So he sent in an agent. He sent in a paralegal with a kind smile and a sympathetic ear. He sent in Marla to handle the grieving commander, to manage him, to keep him silent. She was the bridge. She was the one who translated my father's grief into depression. She was the one who framed his quest for truth as a destructive obsession. She was the one feeding information back to Crow, ensuring the official inquiry and the family narrative matched perfectly. I pull up the document dump from the other North River lawsuit, the one Front Range Watch had mentioned, the thousands of leaked emails. I search again, but this time, I know what I'm looking for. I search for Crow, Elias, and Jensen, Marla. And I find it, an email chain from 2010, after the Alder Ridge incident, but before she married my father. The subject is Re-Inquiry Status, Whitcomb. The email is from Crow to a North River vice president. It is a simple update. The Navy Board has ruled it systemic failure. Whitcomb has been processed for honorable retirement. The matter is closed. And on the CC line, Mjensen@northriver.com. She was not just a paralegal, she was part of the cover-up. She was his inside woman, monitoring the man she would later marry. And then, the final devastating piece. Christmas Eve. The smell of pine, the blinking lights, red, green, blue, the slap. It was not random. It was not a hard year, I remember now. That dinner, just 2 months after the funeral, was the first time I had pushed, the first time I had asked, out loud, why the official story felt so thin, why the funeral had been so rushed, so controlled. I had asked the questions. I was the daughter, asking questions at the funeral home. I was the one Marla was supposed to not let talk. And she did. She silenced me. She did it with her hand, and my father, the man she was handling, was too broken, too manipulated, too deep in the fog of her betrayal to do anything but sigh and look away. The rage is a physical thing. It is a hot wire in my chest. The anger I feel for Crow is cold, tactical. It is an anger for a professional enemy. This is different. This is 1,000 times worse. This is the anger for the collaborator, the spy in the house, the woman who took my father's grief and twisted it into a weapon against him. She took his honor, and then she took his family. She watched him die, protecting the man who had destroyed him. Anger at Crow is a 1. Anger at Marla is a 10. My first instinct is primal. Destroy her, leak the audio, leak the emails, end her. But I stop. I force myself to breathe. Joe's voice, make sure you know which one is steering. Miller's voice, this is a legal proceeding. If I destroy Marla, I make her a victim. She will cry. She will play the part of the manipulated woman, and she might just escape. No, I will not humiliate her. I will not make her a martyr. I will make her a witness. I will force her to admit it. Publicly, she will be the one to validate my father's story. She owes him that. She owes me that. I pick up my phone. I look at my hand. It is perfectly steady. The rage is no longer a fog. It is a lens. I dial her number. She answers on the first ring, her voice tight and impatient. The voice of someone who has been dodging my calls. "Rowan, I told you, my lawyers." "Marla," I say, my voice flat and cold, cutting her off. "We need to talk about North River dynamics." The silence on the other end is a sonic boom. I can hear her sharp intake of breath. I don't know what you are talking about." "Stop," I say. "Just stop. I am at Third Rail Roasters, the coffee shop on 8th, my father's place." "Rowan, I am not going to—" "I have an audio file, Marla, from the Alder Ridge wardroom, an audio file of Elias Crow, by name, telling his staff how you were going to handle the family side, how you were going to not let me talk. I have the emails from North River, the ones with your name on the CC line. I have the entire story." The silence is broken only by her thin, whistling breath. "Be here in 30 minutes, I say. Come alone. If you do not, this conversation happens at the Truth Forum, in front of the cameras, and I will play the recording for everyone, your choice." I hang up. I text Joe. "Incoming. Hostile. I need a witness. Just be present. Do not intervene." I sit in the window booth, my father's booth. I order 2 black coffees from Joe and set them on the table. One for me, one for him. I wait. In exactly 29 minutes, the bell on the door jingles. Marla walks in. She is a portrait of perfect, wealthy composure. A beige trench coat, a silk scarf, hair perfectly in place. She scans the shop, her eyes landing on me. She plasters on the smile, that perfect, strained, concerned smile, the one she used at the funeral, the one she used right before she slapped me. She glides toward my booth. She looks every bit the part of the aggrieved, elegant widow. And then I see her hands. As she reaches to unbutton her coat, they are shaking, violently, uncontrollably. She slides into the booth, pulling the lapels of her expensive coat tight. She places her designer bag on the seat beside her, a shield. Her smile is a masterpiece of practiced sorrow. "Rowan, this is ambush, really. After my lawyer's letter, I came here out of respect for your father's memory." "You are shaking, Marla." Her hands are in her lap, but I can see the tremor in her shoulders. Her smile tightens. "It is cold. What is this about?" I do not answer. I slide the heavy Zippo across the table. It stops near her hand. Then, I place the faded, flimsy coffee receipt next to it. "He left me a map," I say, my voice quiet, cutting through the background hiss of the espresso machine. "I have been following it." She looks at the 2 objects, her face a mask of polite confusion. She gives a small, brittle laugh. "You always did love your dramatics, even as a child. A treasure hunt? What is this supposed to mean?" Joe appears at the table. She places a heavy ceramic mug in front of me, and a second one in front of Marla. Then, she wordlessly sets a small, thick stack of paper napkins in the center of the table, far more than are needed for coffee. Marla looks at the napkins, then at Joe's retreating back. Her eyes narrow. She understands. A witness. She is being watched. The mask cracks. Just a fraction. "My lawyers have been very clear. Rowan, this harassment has to stop. You are interfering with—" "My lawyers are not here," I say. "Your lawyers are not here. It is just you, and me, and Elias Crow." I pick up my phone. I hold it in the space between us. "You are threatening me now? With what?" "With the truth," I say. I tap the screen. The air between us fills with sound. Not a voice. At first, the low, deep thrum of a ship's engine, the high-pitched whine of ventilation, and then the voice, his voice, polished, confident, unmistakable. I told Marla not to let her talk. I press stop. The silence that floods the booth is absolute. The clatter of cups from the counter, the murmur of the other patrons, it all vanishes. Marla's face is no longer pale. It is bloodless. It is the color of old wax. Her shaking hands come up from her lap and grip the edge of the table, her knuckles white. She opens her mouth. A small, dry sound comes out. She tries again. It was a different time, she whispers, her eyes darting to Jo, who is deliberately wiping down the pastry case, her back to us. Was it? I say. It is not a question. You have to understand, she says, her voice a desperate, low rush. It was damage control. We were just building a fence. After the incident, Elias, Mr. Crow, was the future of the company. North River had defense contracts, big ones, hanging in the balance. That whole inquiry, if it went the wrong way, it could have sunk everything, hundreds of jobs. So you sank my father instead. No, she hisses, leaning forward, the mask of the grieving widow replaced by the sharp, feral look of a cornered executive. He was already sunk. He was a wreck. He was obsessive. He was going to bring everyone down with him. I contained it. I helped manage the narrative for the good of the company. And for your own, I say. I was protecting everyone, she insists, her voice rising, then catching herself, lowering it back to a whisper. Your father included. He wanted it, too. He wanted to keep the family quiet. He wanted peace. He wanted the truth, I say, my voice like ice. He wrote it down. He left me a map to the truth. He did not want peace, Rowan. He wanted justice. He just did not have the strength left to get it. He was too broken, or, I lean in, he was too well managed. Her face twists, the corporate mask falls, replaced by a raw personal anger. You think I was just his keeper? You think I was some pawn Elias used? That is what the email says. That is what the audio says. You were the paralegal on the case of the man you were about to marry. She gives a sharp, ugly laugh. It cuts the air. You really do not know anything, do you? You think you are so smart, following your little map? She taps a long, manicured fingernail on the table. That logbook page, she says, her voice venomous. The original, the one you are waving around like a flag. Where do you think you got it? I just stare at her. That was me, she whispers, the confession raw. I was your anonymous source. I sent it to you. I put it at your door. My mind reels. This is not in the script. Why? Insurance, she snaps. For my protection. I was the one who pulled the original signature page from the active file before the inquiry board ever convened. I was the one who had a trusted contact in the Aurora Annex file it away. A parallel record. Elias thought I had destroyed it. He ordered me to destroy it. But I kept it, because I was not going to be the only one with blood on my hands. If Elias ever decided I was the loose end, I needed a way to take him down with me. I was not going down for him. The pieces click into place. The anonymous sender who knew exactly what to send. The person who had the original. It was her. A failsafe. So that is what it was all about, I say. The coldness spreading from my chest to my limbs. A long con, a corporate negotiation. You, him, my father, and me. You? She looks genuinely confused. Christmas, I say. 10 years ago, behind the tree. That was not a hard year. Marla. That was an operation. That was you silencing a loose end. The blood rushes back into her face, a mottled, angry red. You broke the script, she hisses, her voice shaking with that old, familiar rage. We were at dinner, my dinner, and you, a 22-year-old child, you started asking questions, at the table, in front of everyone. Why was the funeral so fast? Why was the honor guard so small? Why did the story not make sense? You were pulling at the thread. You were undoing, in one night. Months of careful work. Months of keeping your father calm. Of keeping the story straight. You were a threat. So you hit me. So I silenced you, she cries. I did what I had to do, what Elias told me to do from the beginning. Do not let her talk. I took you back there, and I made you quiet. It was just business. It was my face, Marla. The words hang in the air. Business. Her anger seems to evaporate, replaced by a sudden, crushing emptiness. Her eyes lose their focus. She looks past me, past the counter, to the front window. She stares at the empty space. Then, she looks down at the 2 coffee mugs on the table, the one I am drinking, and the one sitting untouched in front of her. My father's coffee. The facade, the corporate armor, the jealous rage, it all just disintegrates. Her shoulders heave. A raw, ugly sob escapes. It is not pretty. It is not cinematic. It is the sound of a building collapsing. He loved you more, she chokes out, the words thick with tears. She fumbles for the stack of napkins Joe left, pulling one out, then another. What? He loved you more than he ever loved me, she says, wiping at her eyes, smearing her mascara. I tried so hard. I managed everything. I kept the press away. I kept his nightmares at bay. I built him a new life, and all he ever talked about, in the end, was you. She looks at me, her face a wreck, the perfect mask gone. He was so proud of you, the Marines. He said you had the steel he had lost. Every time you refused to call, it just made him admire you more. He said, "She does not bend. That is my Rowan." I did everything for him. I buried his past. I protected his future. And I was just the nurse, the manager, and you. You were the legacy. You were the one he was waiting for. Her voice drops to a broken whisper. I was weak, and I hated you for it. I hated you because he loved you more than he loved me. I watch her cry. I watch her use the napkins Joe knew she would need. I feel the silence of the booth. I feel the cold coffee in my mug. I feel nothing. No pity, no catharsis, just the cold, clear line of the mission. She finally looks up, her face splotchy and raw. What? What are you going to do to me? Are you going to play that tape? I am not here to forgive you. Marla, I say, my voice even. And I am not here for revenge. I am here for my father's honor. What do you want? I want your testimony, I say. You are not an anonymous source anymore. You are a primary witness. You are going to come to the Truth Forum. You are going to stand up, under your own name, and you are going to tell them, on the record, exactly what you just told me, that Elias Crow gave the order to falsify the record, that you, on his behalf, managed the cover-up, that you hid the logbook page. You are going to corroborate every single thing my father died trying to prove. She stares at me, horrified. In public? In public, I confirm. And after you testify, you are going to issue a formal, public apology, not to me, to him, to his name. You are going to undo the lie you spent the last decade building. You owe him that. And if I do not? She whispers. If you do not, I say, picking up my phone, then I will not need your testimony. I will just play this audio. I will send it, and the North River emails, to every reporter in this state. You will be ruined. Crow will be ruined, but it will be messy. This is cleaner. This is you. Finally, on the right side of the truth, it is the only choice you have left. I stand up. I leave my coffee. I leave her with the Zippo, the receipt, and the cold, untouched mug that belongs to a ghost. She looks at the 2 mugs. She looks at her shaking hands. She gives a single, sharp, defeated nod. All right, she says. The mask is gone. There is nothing left to hide behind. The Capitol Ridge Hall is not a courtroom, but tonight it is one. The air is stifling, thick with the smell of old coffee, wet wool coats, and a kind of tense, righteous anger. Every folding chair is taken, and people are standing 3 deep against the back walls. Local news cameras, 3 of them, are set up on tripods, their red recording lights glowing in the dim. American flags flank the stage, and behind the podium, the Front Range Watch banner is hung. A simple white cloth with 4 black words, "Speak plain." I am at a simple table to the left of the podium. My 4 witnesses, Pike, Blake, Hernandez, and Kimball, sit in the front row, a solid, grim-faced line of naval history. At a table to the right sits Elias Crow. He showed up. He had to. His legal team. 3 men in identical dark suits sit behind him, a phalanx of whispering advisors. Crow himself looks magnificent. He is wearing a dark, authoritative suit, his silver hair perfectly in place. He looks like a commander. He is projecting calm, authority, and a deep, paternal concern. Miller from Front Range Watch is the moderator. He steps to the microphone. The room goes quiet. "This is a community truth forum," Miller says, his voice booming over the PA system. "This is not a trial. It is a presentation of facts. The rules have been agreed to. Sergeant Whitcomb, you have 30 minutes. I stand. I walk to the podium. The wood is scarred. The microphone large and black. I adjust it. My breath hisses into it, a sound that echoes through the packed hall. I look out. I see Jo in the 3rd row, her face unreadable. I see the reporters, pens poised. I see Crow, watching me with that look of practiced, patient concern. "My name is Rowan Whitcomb," I say, and my voice is steady. It does not shake. "I am not here to destroy anyone. I am here to put my father's name, Commander Graham Whitcomb, back where it belongs." I look at Crow. For more than a decade, the official story of the USS Alder Ridge has been a lie. Tonight, we are going to correct the record. I am not here with a theory. I am here with a timeline, with evidence, and with the men who were there. I nod to the front row. Chief Walter Pike. Pike stands, walks to the podium. He is a mountain in a worn suit. He leans into the mic. "Graham Whitcomb filed 3 separate maintenance reports on the auxiliary turbine," Pike says, his voice a low rumble of absolute certainty. "I signed off on all 3. He warned command that if we lost main power, we would not have emergency steering. He was ignored." He sits down. I nod to the next man. Petty Officer Blake. Blake, a high school teacher now, walks up. He is visibly shaking, but his voice is clear. "I was in the engine room when the wave hit. The main turbine went dead. We were blind. We were dead in the water. The bulkhead in Sector 4 began to buckle. The lights were out. We thought we were going to die." He sits. Petty Officer Hernandez. Hernandez, the food truck owner, steps up. "The auxiliary turbine. It was just like the commander said. It wouldn't engage. We were trying to build pressure manually. Then the bulkhead started screaming. That is a sound you never forget." He sits. Petty Officer Kimball. Kimball is the last. He looks directly at Elias Crow. "We were trapped, and then the hatch opened, and it was Commander Whitcomb, not the XO. It was the commander. He was down there with us, in the dark, in the water. He helped us dog the hatch. He fought the pressure with us. He saved my life. He saved our lives. The report that said he was in his cabin, that was a lie." He sits down. The room is dead silent. I let the testimony hang in the air for a full 10 seconds. 4 men, I say, stepping back to the podium. 4 witnesses who saw the truth. So why was it ignored? Because Elias Crow had a schedule to keep. I have here the original, authenticated logbook page, the one that vanished from the official file, where my father's objection to the drill deferment was noted, and where XO Crow signed off on it. I place the projector slide of the log on the screen. The signature is huge, damning. He signed it, and when it went wrong, he built a new story. I will now play an audio file, recovered from the Alder Ridge wardroom, recorded less than 12 hours after the incident. I nod to Miller. He presses a key. A wall of hiss, the high whine of a ship's engines, and then Crow's voice, polished, impatient, and utterly damning. The timeline was the timeline. We were stuck to the reception schedule. I moved the drill. It was an acceptable operational risk. The storm was the variable, not the drill. The board will understand that. The audio cuts. The silence in the hall is not silence. It is a vacuum. It is the sound of 150 people holding their breath at the same time. The sound of a reputation disintegrating. I watch Crow. His face is gray. His hands are gripping the edge of his table. He built a lie, I say, my voice low, but he did not do it alone. I look to the side door. I call Marla Whitcomb. A gasp sweeps the room. Marla enters. She is not the woman from the coffee shop. She is in a severe black suit. Her face pale. Her eyes red-rimmed but defiant. She walks to the podium. Her heels clicking, the only sound in the room. She ignores me. She ignores Crow. She looks at the back wall. "My name is Marla Whitcomb," she says, her voice shaking, but amplified by the microphone. "Before I was Graham Whitcomb's wife, I was a paralegal for North River Dynamics." Another wave of sound from the crowd. Elias Crow, Mr. Crow, was a rising star. After the Alder Ridge incident, I was assigned to help steer the narrative for the company's interests, to protect our relationship with the Navy. I helped Mr. Crow draft his version of events for the board. Her voice cracks. I was the one who was instructed to secure the signature page from the logbook. I was the one who confirmed it was removed from the official inquiry file. I did this, on his instruction, to protect the company, and later, I did it to protect my new family. Crow's lead lawyer is on his feet, shouting, "Objection! This is not a proceeding. This is a circus. This testimony is coerced. It is..." Miller steps forward. "This is not a trial. Counselor, this is a forum for the truth. We are talking about the truth, not your techniques." Pike's voice roars from the front row. The entire room seems to answer him. A low growl of agreement. The lawyer sits down, defeated, his face furious. Marla finishes. "The logbook page is real. The audio is real. My father-in-law, my husband, he told the truth, and we buried him for it. I am here to undo that." She steps down, refusing to look at Crow, and walks out the side door. The cameras, the lights, the eyes, all of them swing from her, past me, and land on one man, Elias Crow. He is alone at his table. His lawyers are silent. He is staring at his hands. Slowly, as if he weighs 1,000 pounds, he stands up. The hot white lights of the news cameras hit him. He blinks. A man in a spotlight. Pike stands up in the front row. He is holding his phone up, the same picture as before. My father, arms slung over a young Elias Crow's shoulder, on the deck of the Alder Ridge. The image of their friendship. Crow looks at the phone. He sees the picture. He sees my father's smiling, trusting face. And he breaks. His shoulders slump. The authority, the polish, the command, it all evaporates. He is just an old, tired man in an expensive suit. He walks to the podium. He shoves the microphone aside. He starts. His voice is a dry croak. "The tape. What she said. It is true." The confession hangs in the air, absolute. "It was my decision," he says, his voice breaking, gaining a raw, ragged strength. "The reception. I wanted it. I wanted to be on that dock. I pushed the schedule. Graham. He argued with me. He told me it was a risk. He told me the men were not ready." He looks at me, his eyes full of a terrible, ancient shame. "I was wrong. He was right. And when it happened, I was a coward. I let them build a story around me. I let them call me a hero for the very thing that proved I was not. I let them destroy him to save me." The room is breathless. I do not clap. I do not cry. I do not move. I just stand at my table, a Marine at parade rest. I let the silence hold him. Let his confession echo. Then I step forward. "Now," I say, my voice clear in the quiet, "what are you going to do to fix it? He looks at me, grateful for the order, grateful for the next step. I will submit a full, unredacted statement to the Department of the Navy, along with the audio and the logbook. Tomorrow, I will petition them to amend your father's service record, to restore his honor. And North River Dynamics, I press. I will resign from the board, he says, the words costing him everything. Effective immediately, I will make it right. He slumps against the podium, a broken man. Joe, who has been quietly standing by the soundboard, reaches over and clicks a switch. The microphone cuts. The hiss is gone. The room is silent for one more beat. And then, the sound. It is not a cheer. It is not applause. It is a single, massive, collective sigh. 150 people, all breathing out at once. The sound of a weight being lifted. The sound of a long, cold night finally ending. The sound of the truth. The email arrives 3 weeks after the forum. It is not from a person. It is from a system. The subject line is pure. Cold bureaucracy. Department of Navy. Addendum. Service record. CDRG. Whitcomb. I open it in my quiet apartment. The hum of the refrigerator is the only sound. It is a single-page PDF attachment. An official letter. I read the jargon. In light of new and verified evidence, testimony from former officers, a board of review has amended the findings. USS Alder Ridge, October 2009. I scroll to the bottom. The addendum itself. CDR, Graham Whitcomb. Actions during the incident of 14 Oaks 2009 are found to be exemplary. His prior warnings regarding equipment maintenance were correct and improperly deferred by his subordinate. The board finds his performance of duty to be in the highest tradition of the service. His record is amended to reflect, served with honor. My hand, the one resting on the mouse, begins to shake. It is a fine, high-frequency tremor, a vibration coming from deep in the bone. But my eyes are clear. I am not crying. I am not celebrating. I am simply reading the words, over and over, served with honor, the war is over, the official, final flag has been raised. The corporate fallout is just as swift. North River Dynamics, in a public statement, announces the immediate resignation of Elias Crow from their board, citing grave personal misjudgments during his naval career. 2 days later, they announced the formation of the Whitcomb Safety Grant, a multi-million-dollar fund dedicated to sponsoring active-duty officers and engineers who bring forward systemic safety concerns that have been ignored by their chain of command. I read the press release on my phone. Sitting in my father's booth at Third Rail Roasters. It is blood money. It is a corporate shield. It is also a permanent, public admission, written in dollars, that my father was right. Joe slides a coffee across the table. She nods toward the front window. A new, small, professionally printed sign is hanging just inside the glass. Second Chances Night. First Friday of every month. All are welcome. Crow, she says, not needing to whisper. He's sponsoring it, anonymously. Of course, he is funding the whole thing. It is his penance. He is paying for coffee for every veteran who comes in and just needs to talk. A second chance, I say, looking at the sign. Starting over, she says, finishing the thought. Marla's apology is not anonymous. It is public, brutal, and clean. She fulfills her promise. She publishes a letter to the editor in the Denver Post. It is not a tearful plea. It is a statement of fact. She details her role as a paralegal at North River, her part in the cover-up, and her calculated manipulation of my father's narrative. She makes no excuses. The words, "a hard year," are nowhere to be found. I see her one last time, in a sterile lawyer's office, signing the final papers liquidating my father's estate. She looks smaller. The expensive coat is gone, replaced by a simple gray suit. The perfect mask is gone, leaving a face that just looks tired. She meets my eyes as I sign the last page. She does not ask for forgiveness. Repair is a verb, Marla, I say, my voice quiet. You are doing the work. She just nods, a single, sharp acknowledgement. It is not an absolution, it is just a fact. The following week, I return to third rail. I am carrying a small, simple black frame. Inside is the photograph. My father, his arms slung over a young, smiling Elias Crow, the sea blue behind them. Jo takes it from me without a word. She hangs it on the wall behind the counter, a place of honor among the photos of other regulars, other neighborhood ghosts. I take the faded, 10-year-old coffee receipt, the one that started it all, and I tuck it into the bottom of the frame, visible. Then I take the Zippo from my pocket. I place it on the small shelf just beneath the picture, a small, brushed chrome star, the map, the key, the mission. I do not need to carry them anymore. They are home. The next day, I drive to the base cemetery. The air is cold and thin. The sky a deep, uncompromising blue. His headstone is stark white, one among a field of hundreds. Commander, Graham Whitcomb, U.S. Navy. I kneel in the dry grass. I wipe the accumulated dust from the engraved letters with the heel of my glove. I run my fingers over the cold marble. I came here once before, for the funeral, in a fog of rage and confusion. This time, I am present. I take a small, flat stone from my pocket, a piece of granite I have been carrying, and I place it on top of the headstone, the military tradition. I was here. I have not forgotten. Then I pull a piece of paper from my wallet, the original receipt from the footlocker, the one that said, "Come back when you're ready to start over." I fold it once and wedge it securely under the stone. "I came back. Dad," I whisper, my voice stolen by the high-altitude wind. "I started over. We are good." I stand, execute a slow, formal salute to the stone, and walk away. I am halfway to my truck when my phone rings. It is Miller, from Front Range Watch. "Rowan," he says, his voice energized. "Your phone has been ringing off the hook here. Reporters, advocacy groups. We have an offer, a real one, a publisher. They want you to write a series, a column, about your experience, about military families and the price of silence." I stop and look back at the sea of white stones, a silent army in the sun. "What is the title?" I ask. "They suggested Start Over," he says. I smile. It is a real smile, one that reaches my eyes. Tell them I accept. 6 months later, I am in the same church basement where I first met Pike, but this time, I am not the supplicant. I am at the podium. The room is packed. Young veterans in hoodies, spouses with notebooks, a few local journalists. My presentation is on the projector screen behind me. How to file a FOIA request. How to build an evidence chain. How to speak truth without burning your world down. I am not a soldier. I am not an investigator. I am an armorer. I am handing out the weapons my father built for me. The truth only heals when it is told correctly, I say, my voice filling the room. You cannot be emotional. You have to be tactical. You have to be precise. You have to be the one thing they are not. You have to be undeniable. After, as I'm packing up my laptop, Jo Ellis is there, holding a familiar ceramic mug of coffee. She has been at every event, a quiet presence in the back row. "You are good at this," she says, handing me the mug. "You sound just like him, when he was in the zone." I pause. "Jo, I never asked. The anonymous emails, the scan of the logbook, the audio file in the tip jar, was that all you?" She smiles, a slow, sad smile. "The audio? No, kid. That was one of Crow's own men. His conscience finally got too heavy. He gave it to me, asked me to get it to you, but my part was the beginning." "The logbook," I say, "the parallel copy." "Graham was my friend," Jo says, her eyes distant, looking at the past. "I was a clerk at the port office, back in 2009. Before this, before the coffee, Graham came to me, the day after he got back, before the inquiry even started. He had that log page in his hand. He said, 'Jo, they are going to bury this. Make sure it cannot be buried. He trusted me. So you made the copy. I did, she says. I am the one who took it to Peterson at the annex. I told him to file it, to hide it, to give it a fail-safe. I sent you that first email, the scan. I pointed you to Pike. I knew Marla knew about the copy. She was digging around. But I was the true guardian. I was just waiting. Waiting for me. He was waiting, she corrects me gently, placing a hand on my arm. He trusted you would come, when you were ready, when the anger had cooled enough to be aimed. He was so proud of you. Rowan, he knew you were the one who would not bend. I look at this woman, this barista, this quiet guardian of my father's legacy, the anger, the white-hot rage that has fueled me for a decade. It is not there. It is not gone. It is processed. It is metabolized. It is just quiet. The engine is off. I smile. Thank you, Joe, for keeping the light on. That night, I am on the small balcony of my apartment. The city lights of Denver are a cold fire below. The air is sharp, hinting at the first real winter. I take the Zippo out of my pocket. I went back to the cafe and retrieved it. It is mine now, a reminder. I flick the cap open, the familiar solid clack. I spin the wheel. The flame catches, strong and steady, a single point of bright, unwavering light in the gathering dark. It does not flicker in the high-altitude wind. I look at the flame. Starting over means telling the truth, I whisper. I snap the lid shut. The clack is loud, final. The light is gone, but the air has changed. Thank you all for listening to my story. Please comment below and let me know where you are listening from. I would love to hear your thoughts. Remember to subscribe to Lila Revenge Stories, like this video, and give it extra support by hitting the hype button so this story can be heard by more people.